Did you know your mind is your greatest weapon against negativity, but only if you know how to use it? Most of us let our thoughts control us, trapping us in cycles of worry and doubt. But what if I told you there's a better way? The best advice I've ever heard is this: stop overthinking and start acting. It sounds simple, right? Yet, so many of us fall into the trap of waiting for the perfect moment or letting negativity paralyze us. In this video, we're diving into the powerful, no-nonsense approach of pragmatism, a philosophy that doesn't just talk about changing your mindset, but shows you how to take action. From practical steps to overcoming negative thinking, to breaking free from self-doubt, you'll learn how to shift your focus, get results, and start building the life you deserve. Avoid the common mistake of letting negativity dictate your decisions. Instead, take charge, act with purpose, and turn those negative thoughts into solutions. Ready to transform the way you think and live? Let's get started. Number 1. Act to defeat negative thinking. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a cycle of negative thoughts? Maybe you've been caught in a loop where everything feels overwhelming and the world seems to conspire against you. It's something we've all experienced at some point, those dark days when doubts cloud your mind and negativity seems to take over your perspective. But in those moments, have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what can I do to change this? The answer lies in action. In the context of pragmatism, the belief is simple. When faced with negativity, action is the antidote. Think back to a time when you were feeling down or uncertain, yet you took a step forward anyway. It could have been something as small as getting out of bed and starting your day, or as significant as making a tough decision in your life. It might not have seemed like much at first, but that small action shifted your energy, didn't it? You didn't wait for your thoughts to magically change. You acted in spite of them. And that, according to pragmatism, is the key to defeating negative thinking. When you're stuck in a mental rut, it's not about waiting for the perfect mindset. It's about taking concrete steps that lead you out of it. Each action you take moves you further from the grip of negativity. Whether it's a workout, a project, or simply completing a task you've been avoiding, action forces you into the present moment, where you can start to shift your mindset. Do you remember the times in your life when action has brought you the most joy? Think of the moments when you were completely engaged in something, your mind occupied with the task at hand, not consumed by doubts. Maybe it was the first time you tackled a challenge and succeeded, or the time you decided to take charge of a situation and turned it around. Those moments were a direct result of your actions, not your thoughts. That's what pragmatism teaches us. Your thoughts are important, but they are only part of the equation. It's what you do that creates results. And those results, however small they may seem, are the stepping stones to defeating negativity. Now, imagine waking up tomorrow and choosing to act, no matter how your mind is feeling. Picture yourself taking a small action, whether it's picking up a phone to make a call, walking into the gym, or starting that task you've been putting off. As you do, notice how your mindset starts to shift. Each step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to a place where negativity can no longer dominate. It's almost as if your actions become the antidote to your thoughts. And that's exactly what pragmatism is all about, turning thoughts into results. What we do defines who we are, not what we think. Number 2, practical steps to kill negativity. Negativity can feel like an unwelcome guest in your life. It enters without warning, sometimes creeping in slowly, other times storming in full force. It feeds on your insecurities, amplifies your doubts, and causes you to question your worth. But what if you could stop it in its tracks? The answer isn't as complicated as we often make it out to be. It's not about pushing away every negative thought that enters your mind. It's about doing something that changes the environment of negativity. Pragmatism teaches us that the most effective way to kill negativity is through practical steps, real actions that lead to real results. Let's take a walk down memory lane. Think back to a time when you faced a challenge. Maybe it was a project at work, a personal goal, or even a relationship issue. Now, recall how you tackled it. Did you focus solely on the problems, allowing them to consume you? Or did you take small, practical steps to make progress? Chances are, the moments when you overcame obstacles were the ones where you stopped dwelling on the negative and started doing something tangible. Pragmatism emphasizes the importance of practical steps, not abstract ideas or wishful thinking. So, how do you apply this to negativity? Start by identifying the source of your negativity. Is it a specific situation, person, or your internal self-talk? Once you identify it, take a small, concrete action to address it. If you're feeling overwhelmed at work, don't focus on how daunting the task is. Instead, break it down into manageable steps. Do the same when it comes to personal issues. Negativity thrives in uncertainty, but when you take a step, any step, it disrupts the cycle. Think of it like starting a car. The engine may be rusty, and the process may feel sluggish at first, but once it starts moving, things begin to flow. In life, the same principle applies. Negative thinking often paralyzes us, but the act of doing breaks that paralysis. So, if you're feeling weighed down by negativity, the first step is to take any action, no matter how small. Call a friend, take a walk, organize your workspace. These may seem like trivial actions, but they create a ripple effect that leads to positive change. Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a negative feedback loop where nothing seems to change, and each day feels like a repeat of the last? That's because negativity thrives in stagnation. When you're not moving, when you're not acting, negativity grows stronger. But when you introduce action, when you take those practical steps, it disrupts the cycle. Your environment begins to shift, your mindset begins to adjust, and little by little, negativity loses its grip. Now, as you're thinking about this, ask yourself, what practical steps can I take today to kill negativity in my life? Maybe it's as simple as setting a small goal, organizing your thoughts, or choosing to focus on one positive aspect of your day. Each step you take is a victory over negativity, and the more you take, the more powerful you become in your ability to defeat it. Number 3, think less, do more. In a world filled with constant distractions and an overabundance of information, it's easy to fall into the trap of overthinking. We often find ourselves stuck in our own minds, analyzing every decision, every conversation, every outcome. But what if the key to progress isn't thinking more, but doing more? Pragmatism, at its core, challenges the idea that thinking is the most important part of the equation. Instead, it urges us to think less and act more. We've all been there, when we've spent hours, days, or even weeks overthinking a decision, trying to weigh all the possibilities, fearing the consequences of every action. But have you ever noticed that the more you think, the more confused you become? Your mind starts to spiral, creating endless what-ifs that often don't even come to fruition. The key to breaking this cycle is simple. Do something, anything. The act of doing cuts through the noise of overthinking and leads to clarity. Think back to a time when you took action despite not having all the answers. Maybe it was a career decision, a personal challenge, or even something as simple as trying something new. In those moments, did you regret your decision? Probably not. You may have faced challenges, but you learned, adapted, and grew. That's the power of action. In the context of pragmatism, the focus isn't on perfection, it's on progress. When we focus too much on thinking, we waste time. But when we focus on doing, we create tangible results. In a sense, overthinking is a form of procrastination. we get stuck in a mental loop, unable to move forward because we're afraid of making the wrong choice. But action forces us to confront our fears head-on. It propels us forward, even when we don't feel ready. And here's the surprising part. Action often reveals the answers that thinking alone cannot. It's through doing that we discover what works and what doesn't. It's through doing that we gain experience and insight. As you sit with this idea, consider how often you find yourself overthinking. How many times have you missed an opportunity because you were caught in a mental web of indecision? Now picture yourself acting first, without overanalyzing. What would happen if you took that first step, even if you didn't have all the answers? What would change if you simply trusted the process of doing rather than thinking? Number 4, overcome negativity with action. Negativity has a way of creeping in when we feel powerless. It feeds on our hesitation, on our moments of stillness where self-doubt finds room to grow. But what if the cure to this weight of negativity lies in the very thing we tend to avoid: taking action? Pragmatism teaches us that negativity doesn't fade away by itself. It's not something you can simply wish or think away. It demands movement, forward momentum, and the courage to do something, even when you're not sure of the outcome. Imagine a time when you faced a situation that felt impossible to overcome. Maybe it was a mistake you made at work, or a personal conflict that left you questioning yourself. You probably sat there for a while, overthinking every detail, wondering how things might have been different. But what happened when you finally decided to act? Did you apologize, make a correction, or find a way to repair the situation? That action, no matter how small, shifted the energy. It may not have resolved everything immediately, but it set something into motion. It gave you back a sense of control. Negativity is like quicksand. The more you stay still, the deeper it pulls you in. But when you act, it's like grabbing hold of a branch to pull yourself out. Pragmatism reminds us that action doesn't have to be perfect or grandiose. It just needs to be deliberate. Taking one step, whether it's initiating a difficult conversation, completing a task you've been putting off, or even writing down your thoughts, can begin to change your internal narrative. Think back to when you accomplished something despite feeling uncertain or afraid. Maybe you started a new job, joined a new group, or decided to try something completely outside of your comfort zone. Do you remember how it felt afterward? That sense of accomplishment wasn't just about what you achieved. It was about proving to yourself that you could act, no matter how negative or uncertain you felt beforehand. That's the power of pragmatism. It's not about waiting to feel good before you act. It's about acting so you can feel good. As you consider this, ask yourself, what is one action you've been avoiding because of negativity? What's one thing you could do right now, today, to take a step forward? Remember, it doesn't have to solve everything. It just has to break the grip of inertia. Each action chips away at negativity, leaving less room for it to thrive. Number 5, focus on what works. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by trying to fix everything at once? Maybe you're juggling too many tasks, facing criticism from others, or feeling like nothing you do is enough. In these moments, it's easy for negativity to creep in, making you doubt your abilities and your decisions. But what if, instead of focusing on everything that's wrong, you concentrated on what's working? Pragmatism teaches us that the fastest way to overcome negativity is to focus our energy on what produces results. Think of the last time you achieved something you were proud of. Maybe it was a project at work, a goal you set for yourself, or even a small act of kindness. What made it successful? Was it because you worried about what wasn't going well? Or was it because you leaned into what was already working? Pragmatism reminds us that when we focus on what's effective, on what we can do well, and where we can make an impact, We not only make progress, but we also silence the negativity that thrives on our distractions. Sometimes we get so caught up in fixing everything that we lose sight of what's actually moving us forward. It's like trying to patch every hole in a sinking ship instead of focusing on plugging the largest one. When negativity strikes, it's tempting to spiral into overthinking or to spread ourselves thin. But the truth is, not every problem requires your attention. Not every critique deserves a response. Instead, by narrowing your focus to what works, you free yourself from the mental clutter that negativity thrives on. Take a moment to reflect on the areas in your life where you're already making progress. It could be your relationships, your career, or even your personal growth. Are you giving those areas the attention they deserve, or are you letting negativity shift your focus to the things that aren't working? The simple act of redirecting your energy toward your strengths can make all the difference. And here's the secret. Once you start seeing results in one area, it builds momentum. You feel more confident, more capable, and better equipped to tackle other challenges. Imagine what could happen if you spent just one day focusing entirely on what works. Imagine letting go of the distractions, the doubts, and the unnecessary noise. How much more productive, happier, and lighter would you feel? That's the essence of pragmatism. Simplify your efforts, concentrate on what brings results, and let go of the rest. Number 6. Kill negativity. Through results, negativity loves to argue. It will tell you that you're not good enough, that your efforts are pointless, or that the odds are stacked against you. But there's one thing negativity can't argue with: results. Pragmatism teaches us that the most effective way to silence negativity isn't through debate or self-talk, it's through proof. When you focus on achieving tangible results, negativity loses its hold, because the evidence of your progress speaks louder than any inner doubt. Think about a time when someone doubted you, or even when you doubted yourself. Maybe you were told you couldn't accomplish something, or you felt like you didn't have what it takes. But then you went out and did it anyway. Remember how that felt? The satisfaction didn't just come from proving others wrong. It came from proving to yourself that you could succeed despite the negativity. That's the power of results. They don't just change your circumstances, they change your mindset. Negativity thrives in the absence of progress. When you're stuck in the same place, it's easy for doubts to take over. But every step forward, every small victory, creates momentum. It's not about achieving something monumental overnight. It's about building a series of small wins that add up over time. Pragmatism encourages us to focus on what we can control, take actionable steps, and measure success through results, not feelings. Now think about where you are today. What results have you achieved recently? Maybe they're small, like finishing a task, improving a skill, or keeping a promise to yourself. Or maybe they're big milestones that you've worked hard to reach. Either way, those results are evidence of your capability. And each time you produce a new result, you're effectively telling negativity, "You're wrong, I can do this." It's important to remember that results don't always come easily. They require effort, persistence, and sometimes a willingness to fail along the way. But every result, no matter how small, is a step forward. It's proof that you're capable of moving beyond negativity. And here's the beauty of it. Once you start seeing results, they create a ripple effect. Success breeds confidence, and confidence diminishes negativity. So, what's the next result you want to achieve? What's one step you can take today to turn your efforts into evidence of your progress? Number 7. Turn thoughts into solutions. How often do you find yourself trapped in endless loops of overthinking? You replay conversations in your mind, second-guess your decisions, or anticipate problems that may never even happen. It's exhausting, isn't it? But here's the thing. Those thoughts, however overwhelming, hold the potential to create something extraordinary. According to pragmatism, the key is to stop letting your thoughts weigh you down and start using them as tools to build solutions. It's not about thinking less, it's about thinking differently, purposefully, and with the goal of action. Think back to a time when a brilliant idea struck you, something you truly felt excited about. Maybe it was a solution to a problem at work, a creative project, or even a plan to improve your personal life. Now, be honest. How many of those ideas turned into reality? For most of us, the majority of ideas remain just that, thoughts. We let fear, doubt, or procrastination hold us back. But what if, instead of overanalyzing, you chose to act on one of those thoughts? What if you turned your thinking into doing? Pragmatism teaches us that thoughts only gain value when they lead to action. If your mind is filled with worries, ask yourself, how can I solve the root of these concerns? For instance, if you're worried about money, what action can you take to improve your finances? If you're concerned about a strained relationship, what step can you take to repair it? When you turn your thoughts into solutions, you regain control. You shift from being a passive observer of your problems to an active participant in solving them. Now, think of a time in your life when you did this, when you stopped overthinking and took practical steps to address an issue. Maybe you created a budget, worked overtime, or reached out to someone to mend a relationship. Remember how empowering that felt? The negativity didn't disappear instantly, but it no longer had the same grip on you because you were doing something about it. Solutions don't have to be perfect, they just need to get you moving in the right direction. Here's a challenge for you. Take one worry or negative thought that's been weighing on your mind and ask yourself, what's the smallest solution I can create for this right now? It doesn't have to be a life-changing step, it just needs to move you forward. Pragmatism isn't about solving everything at once, it's about taking those thoughts and using them to build the life you want, one solution at a time. Number 8. Break free by doing. Negativity often feels like a cage. It traps you, limits your potential, and keeps you stuck in patterns that don't serve you. The more you think about escaping, the tighter the bars seem to close in. But what if the key to breaking free isn't some grand revelation, but simply the act of doing? Pragmatism teaches us that the path to freedom lies not in thinking your way out, but in acting your way out. Imagine being in a situation where you felt completely stuck. Maybe it was a job you didn't like, a routine that drained you, or a goal that seemed out of reach. Think about how it felt, like you were running in place, making no progress. Now, remember the moment you finally decided to act. Perhaps you applied for a new job, changed your daily habits, or took the first step toward a long-term goal. That action, no matter how small, created a shift. It might not have solved everything instantly, but it gave you momentum. It cracked the door to the cage, showing you that escape was possible. Negativity thrives on inaction. When you stay still, your doubts and fears grow louder, convincing you that change is impossible. But the simple act of doing, even something as minor as taking a walk, starting a new project, or reaching out to someone, can break the cycle. Doing creates energy, and energy disrupts the negativity that keeps you confined. Pragmatism reminds us that it's not about waiting for the perfect time or the perfect plan. Perfection is an illusion that keeps you trapped. Instead, it's about taking imperfect action, doing something, anything, that moves you closer to where you want to be. Think of it like climbing a staircase. You don't need to see the entire staircase to take the first step. Each step you take builds confidence, and confidence makes the next step easier. So let's reflect. What's one area of your life where you feel stuck? What's one action you could take today to move forward, even if it's small? Remember, breaking free isn't about bursting out of the cage in one giant leap. It's about loosening the bars, one action at a time. Number 9. Stop worrying, start acting. Worry. It's one of the most persistent thieves of joy. It sneaks into your mind, taking over your thoughts, and makes you believe that if you just think hard enough, you can control the future. But has worrying ever solved a problem for you? Has it ever brought you closer to your goals or made you feel more at peace? If anything, it does the opposite. Pragmatism teaches us that worrying is wasted energy. The only way to combat it is by channeling that energy into action. Think about a time when you were consumed by worry. Maybe you were anxious about a deadline, a big decision, or a situation that felt out of your control. You probably spent hours, or even days, replaying scenarios in your mind, trying to predict every possible outcome. But now, think about what happened when you finally acted. Did things start to shift? Even if the situation wasn't resolved immediately, your action likely gave you a sense of relief because you were no longer stuck in your head. Pragmatism teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of the rest. Worrying about things you can't change is like rocking in a chair. It gives you something to do but gets you nowhere. Action, on the other hand, propels you forward. If you're worried about your health, start exercising or adjusting your diet. If you're stressed about work, tackle one task at a time. The moment you act, you take control of your narrative. Now let's get personal. Think about a specific worry that's been keeping you up at night. Is it something you can control? If yes, what's one small action you can take today to address it? And if it's beyond your control, what can you focus on instead? Worry is like a fire. It grows when you feed it. But action is the water that puts it out. Picture yourself at the end of today, having taken even the smallest step toward addressing your worry. How much lighter would you feel? How much more confident would you be in your ability to handle life's challenges? Pragmatism isn't about ignoring your worries. It's about transforming them into fuel for action. So, the next time you catch yourself spiraling into worry, remember, stop thinking, start doing. That's where the real change happens. Number 10. Defeat negativity with pragmatism. Negativity has a way of distorting reality. It whispers in your ear, convincing you that your problems are bigger than they are, that your efforts don't matter, and that the future is bleak. It thrives on chaos, uncertainty, and inaction. But what if you could fight back? What if you could cut through the noise and find clarity, purpose, and direction? Pragmatism offers exactly that. A way to defeat negativity by focusing on what works, what's real, and what moves you forward. Think about a time when negativity had a firm grip on you. Maybe it was after a failure, a harsh critique, or an unexpected setback. You might have felt overwhelmed, as though every decision you made was wrong and every step forward was a mistake. But now, look back at how you moved past that moment. Chances are, it wasn't by indulging in endless self-pity or blaming the world around you. It was through pragmatic thinking, by finding one thing you could do to make the situation better and taking action. Pragmatism teaches us that negativity is not a permanent state. It's a signal, a sign that something needs to change. The question is, how will you respond? Will you let it consume you, or will you treat it as an opportunity to recalibrate and focus on solutions? Imagine negativity as a fog that clouds your vision. The only way to clear it is to focus on what's right in front of you, the next step you can take. Relatability is key here. Think about those moments when negativity convinced you to give up, only for you to later realize that you were capable of so much more. Maybe it was a tough class in school, a challenging project at work, or a personal relationship that felt impossible to repair? What pulled you through? Was it a moment of clarity where you realized the problem wasn't as big as it seemed? Or was it when you focused on the things within your control, what you could do, not what you couldn't? Pragmatism is about shifting your mindset from "why is this happening to me?" to "what can I do about this?" It's not about ignoring negativity or pretending it doesn't exist. Instead, it's about acknowledging it and using it as fuel for action. When negativity tells you that you're stuck, pragmatism asks, what's the smallest step forward? When negativity tells you that you're not enough, pragmatism reminds you that effort and results matter more than perfection. As you reflect on your life, think about where negativity shows up most often. Is it in your career, your relationships, or your inner dialogue? Now ask yourself, what's one pragmatic step you can take to challenge it? What's one action, no matter how small, that can move you closer to a solution? Pragmatism doesn't promise that negativity will disappear overnight, but it does guarantee one thing. Every step you take toward progress weakens its grip. Negativity may be persistent, but it's not invincible. When you approach life through the lens of pragmatism, you take back your power. You stop letting negativity dictate your decisions and start building a reality based on what works. And as you take those steps one by one, you'll find that the fog lifts, the doubts fade, and the path forward becomes clearer than ever. If you've made it this far, drop a thumbs up because you're part of the top 0.01% who not only start something, but also see it through to the end. That already puts you ahead of most people. Remember, defeating negativity and transforming your life isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about taking action, one step at a time. You've already taken the first step by investing in yourself through this video. If you're serious about making lasting changes and embracing a life rooted in pragmatic action, don't stop here. Join our growing community by subscribing to the channel, where we dive into practical strategies to help you take control of your life. Together, we'll keep building momentum and creating results that truly matter. So hit that subscribe button and let's turn your goals into reality.